Hi everyone, Jaymes Mansfield here bringing you yet another video. Now today's video is going to be a hairstyling tutorial. It's been so long since I've done one for you, so I figured why not do one today. Now let me list off some things you're going to need for this project. What I'm going to use is a wig styling brush. It's got these plastic bristles that are spaced apart, perfect for combing wigs. This brush is specifically made for brushing wigs. As well as a teasing comb, a regular comb, a couple different types of hairsprays. I'm gonna use some dry hairsprays like Got to Be Glue or Aquanet, as well as a wet hairspray like Pump It Up Gold. You're also gonna need some hairstyling rollers. I'm using these plastic ones today. And some long straight pins. These ones are dressmaker pins. You could also use millinery hat making pins, whatever is long and sticks right into the wig head. And of course, a wig head. I'm using a styrofoam wig head today. You can use a canvas wig block if you like, but the styrofoam one's what I had available right now. And of course, you're gonna need a steamer, a blow dryer, a plastic bag. This one's from the Gucci store. As well as a wig oven, like this, a cardboard box with a hole cut into it. I got this idea from Vanity, from WIGS by Vanity. I'll link her video down below. She goes into way more detail about how to make this super expensive wig oven. Of course, the wig oven is completely optional for you. I like to use it because I feel like I do see a difference when I use it. And of course, obviously, you're getting a lace front wig or a regular wig, depends what you like. This wig is by Riglamore. It's off Amazon, look them up. It's pretty easy to spell. Hashtag not sponsored. And we're gonna give this wig a haircut today, so you're gonna need some scissors. Now let's take our gloves off and give the wig a haircut quick. Now as you can already see, the wig is already very, very long. So I'm gonna cut it to about this much off of it, because that's gonna curl a whole lot better. The longer the hair is, the more heavy it's gonna be. So you also wanna keep that in mind when you curl it. And what happens with layers on wigs when you curl them and tease them out is that the teasing gets a lot more bigger and you get a nice bubble effect from the hair. Because like with anything, when you start to layer it up, it gets more voluminous. And if you don't wanna dedicate too much of yourself to cutting the hair all the way short, you don't have to. You can leave a portion of it, like the very back parts fit longer. As long as it blends in with itself good, you should be fine. You don't have to sacrifice that much length. And just keep cutting till you get that length that you want. Okay, this is how she looks after I cut layers into her. She's a little choppy, but she's gonna curl up really beautifully. Again, whenever you style a wig, it always has to have a little rough edges before it actually gets prettier. Time to start curling it. I'm gonna take my plastic roller and take some of the hair. What I do is I like to finger part it, and then from there you take the end of like a rat tail comb and you pull up what you need to fill out your roller. And you wanna make sure you don't overfill your roller too. That's important as well. Like for starters, I got a lot of hair from the back here. I don't need that much. I'm gonna take that away because if you pull from too many areas, it's gonna affect the end result of your curl. And taking our other brush, the wig brush, I'm gonna brush through that to keep it straight. So keeping that as straight as possible, I'm gonna wrap that around the end of the roller. We wanna get a nice, clean, tight roll. The direction of the curl is gonna be going up and back. That's gonna give us the most volume and lift. So we bring that down, and with one of our long dressmaker pins, a hat making pin would work great too. Just put that in there, and that's gonna keep the roller in place. And for my curl pattern for the front, I always do the front rollers going back like this, as well as a few more on the crown because that's where I want the most volume coming back. And pay close attention to the hair in the front and the way it's going. If it's tilting to the side, you wanna make sure you have a nice tight grip on it when it gets rolled. Otherwise, it's gonna curl and create a crimp inside of the hair at the root of the hair, and it's gonna be really hard to get rid of. And when you roll hair, you gotta pay attention to where the direction the hair is gonna curl. Like with this one, it's gonna curl upwards and go down and it'll swirl. So it's gonna work really well if you're doing like those Marilyn Monroe flips. And I'm always really, really cautious and careful when it comes to this section of the hair because the front is the part of the hair everyone's gonna see. Believe me when I say don't rush your curling because I am the biggest culprit of rushing a roller set, and I'm always devastated when I unroll it and the curls didn't curl quite properly. As you can see so far, I'm perching them up and going away from the hair. The front is always most difficult in my opinion because there's a lot less room to go around. And you kind of got to maneuver rollers around to get them to look properly. A big mistake I always made was I would place my rollers on the side here going downward. And what that would do is it create lift here on the side, but it always create a part in the hair that I would have to disguise later with another wig. Whereas if you just roll them all like this, then you get all the volume all around. And you can fill it up with teasing later, and you use less wigs that way. All right, and that's the front portion. Now we're gonna start the crown and then move on to the sides and back. I'm gonna start on this whole portion right here. That's the crown. This is where we're gonna have the most volume popping outward. And the same method as how we did these ones. We're gonna roll them backwards with the root going upward. All right, now we're gonna curl the back portion of the wig. This is the part that can get a little tedious when you start doing it, so I forewarn you now. And when you do this, make sure you have a really sturdy base. You don't want the wig to move around too much, otherwise it's gonna affect the way your curls turn out. And as you can see, they're all starting to go in a row now. A straight row going backwards. Now with the crown and the front of the wig, we don't really have that luxury because it's just not enough hair. And when you roll on the side like that, the curl's gonna end up on the side and not going outwards and back. Okay, we finished rolling it. Now just bask at your work and look at it with disdain and hatred because it took so long and it was so tedious. Now comes a much funner part. We get to steam it. All right, now we're just gonna take a bag and put it over this as if you're recreating a scene from Twin Peaks. Just put it on over that. All right. And taking your steamer, you're gonna jot it in right underneath there. I like to start with the face part first. And just let that steam seep on in. And what this does is all the heat will travel to the top of the bag and collect here, getting all inside the hair rollers. And you can just feel around a little bit. You can already feel the rollers heating up and the hair heating up. What the heat does to synthetic fibers is that it heats it in place so that it burns that curl into place. And when I use that word burn, I mean very, very lightly. It's sort of the way you'd mold plastic. And general rule of thumb, if the wig is a lot older, you don't have to put it under steam for as longer, but if it's a little newer, keep it under there for at least maybe 5 minutes. And honestly, you just want to poke around and feel how hot it's getting and make your judgments from there. And I wrap the bottom of the bag around my fingers, not only to protect my fingers from the hot steam, but also make sure the steam doesn't escape from the bottom. We want all to collect up here at the top. That way all the heat goes towards the hair. I've done the front of the wig, now it's time to do the back. And doing the same method, just pinch the bag closed and let's steam the back of the hair because that has a tendency not to curl as much. So I always like to give a little more extra attention to the back part of the hair, especially the lower bottom pieces if it's a longer wig. And leave it there for a little bit. Let that hair just collect inside of the steam. And while you're doing that, get the preparations ready for your wig oven. Okay, now we're gonna put the wig inside of the wig oven. So we're gonna take our wig off of its stand and carefully remove the bag. You don't want water dripping everywhere because it's gonna be all soaking wet from the steam. She's all ready to go in the oven. Just use a big old box like this. I'm sure you have one of them laying around your house. And we're gonna place her gently inside of there. There she is sitting in there right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna close this up and taking our hair dryer, we're gonna put that in at the top. And just hold this front down, it'll keep it shut. And you don't wanna leave this unattended because you don't wanna come back and see your house on fire. Now depending on the length is how long I leave this in here. On a shorter wig, I usually do it for about 20 minutes. On a longer wig, I usually do 25 or 30. And remember, this step is completely optional. Whew, that's exhausting. Now, you're going to leave it in there until it completely cools down. Make sure it's cool to the touch before you take it out. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go and touch up my eyeliner because a girl's been sweating it off doing this video. Okay, now that our hair is cooled down, we're going to take down the curls. Slowly and carefully remove your pins and your rollers. Look at her, that's our first curl. It came out great. All right, these are the curls so far. Look how bouncy they are. And like I showed you before, when you curl it going upward, you see all that natural lift coming from the curl already. And those are our curls. Very bouncy, and they're gonna look gorgeous when we brush them out. So let's start our brush out. All right, and for the brush out, you're going to brush downward on the hair, a certain section of it, and just pull it down like that. And spray it. Brush through it again to spread that hairspray around. And then with your fingers, you're gonna follow the natural wave that it gives you. All right, now that we've done the brush out, it's time to start teasing it. Now I've used many different styles of combs, but I found myself reverting back to a regular old comb. And I just use this section right here. I usually use a rat tail teasing brush like this. I found myself using one of these guys because I can get a really nasty tease with it. We're gonna start with the base or the crown. And what we do is we get a real good tease going in it. Just really, really dig in there with the tease. See, and that's how you're gonna get the stand up. Switch directions and lay it with the rest of your teasing. Now, I've done a tutorial on this before where I went more in depth, so I'll give you a few pointers of how I do it here. Otherwise, just click that link down below to see how I tease a wig in depth. Just remember, we're packing all that towards the root. And we want the most teasing to be down here at the root. You don't want just teasing floating above the roots. Otherwise, it's gonna weigh the hair down and you're not gonna get a whole lot of lift. You're just gonna have a really, tangled wig. And the whole trick is to build up a resistance in the hair to where you tease it down tightly, but not to the point where it tangles itself up and the wig is ruined. You have to basically learn your own speed and your own tension with the hair. Take a little bit of practice, but after doing it for a while, you'll get the hang of it. And see, I'm just starting from the root and really building it up. And the higher I get, the looser the teasing gets. We're gonna combine those later to French lace them, but in the meantime, you're already getting a whole lot of lift here with the hair. And you can already see sort of the shape the hair is starting to take just from doing the brush out. And see, look at how much lift we're getting now. Just from that little bit of teasing, and it's not even damaging the wig that much because we're not putting that much strength towards the top like I told you. Now let's do the back portions. So that's the finished product of the teasing. Now it's time to brush it out. It's time to really hook her down and get into this. And we're gonna start by brushing back slowly through the teasing, trying to get the top portions, not really digging in there, You just want the top layer of hair. Remember, we're protecting all the teasing here, and you can feel free to brush through passionately on the end base. Just make sure you keep a tight grip on the middle of the hair, like right here, and then brush it out near the end. You see, you already see a directionality going here with the curl. We're just gonna encourage that with our fingers. And again, I'm only doing the surface layer. I am not interrupting that teasing underneath it. Dig through the hair, don't be afraid to do that. And try and find the direction the hair wants to go. All right, I'm gonna snatch up a section with my fingers and just brush through it, keeping a pinched area here so that not to pull out any teasing. And we're just gonna use this to add some style to the hair. By brushing it through, I'm using my fingers to encourage that wave that's happening with it naturally from it curling. Use your Pump It Up Gold and brush through the bottom, keeping a tight grip on the middle section so not to pull out the teasing. You can see some directionality happening here. We're getting a nice S wave. The front may call for a bit more styling, so I'm gonna do that right now. There's still a little bit of visible teasing here, so we're just gonna smooth over that top portion. Spray it again. Heat it. By doing that, it creates lift and it holds it in place, like locks it in with the heat. All right, we have a few long pieces here as well. So what we can do is we can leave them long, or what I like to do is I like to trim them a little bit more. And see, there's no telling what you can do with this hairstyle. You can always change the direction and flip the wig this way. It also looks good that way as well. So yeah, it's a fun style. It's very versatile. But I think I showed you enough, so it's about time I do the finishing touches on this wig and we get it ready to go to put on. Styling portion is what takes the longest. And it's all a matter of just taking your patience and brushing through the wig and going back and forth with your hand and zhuzhing it up. So like I finally got the waves the way I like it. And I usually spend the most time doing the front portion of the wig because that's the first thing people are gonna see. And this is the final product. She has that nice Maryland flip to her. And the back has that nice soft wave to it. But I can show you better than I can tell you, so I'm gonna take a moment and try my new hair on. And I'll be back shortly, okay? Welcome back! This is the final result. I love it! Now, of course, I had to try it on, and that's always the make or break for your wig. When I tried the wig on, I realized my bang was a little too heavy, so I cut it to my liking. And you can always recurl it if you want it to be curly again. Now, I have been practicing and practicing with my hairstyling, trying to get better, and I feel like I'm finally getting a hang of it. I've been getting a lot of great tips from Wigs and Grace, especially go check out his Instagram lives or his Instagram page. He is constantly doling out great tips for hairstyling, so thank you, Gloria. And I have to give a special thank you to my Patreon supporters for choosing this hair color this week. Thank you so much, kittens. And shameless plug time, I have all my merch linked down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be made aware of every time I upload a new video. And that special shout out to my supporters on Patreon. I couldn't do this without you, kittens. Now, until next time, bye! Click here and learn how to make a capri catsuit, or learn how to stone nails. Come on, click it. You know you want to. You know you're not gonna go to Planet Fitness, so just watch my video.